buzzword right now. Everybody's collaborating with everything, or at least they say they are. But what we mean by collaboration in this integrated way is slightly different. Again, give you an old analogy, is I remember not too terribly long ago, as a probation officer, I could care less what law enforcement did. They had their job, I had my job. I could care less what parole officers did. They had parolees, I had probationers. I lost this whole idea about I don't work independently. And what the research is saying is don't be ignorant to the fact that programs cannot operate in this on an island. That you are very interdependent on stakeholders, on other people who find value in your programs, on your competition. And that if you understand how to enhance your programs through collaboration, you'll be a much more successful program. In particular, we talk about these 11 steps to collaboration. I mentioned this earlier, but the first concept about these 11 steps is this concept of vision. Do you have a defined problem that people clearly understand what it is that you're trying to solve? Remember when I asked the question, have you ever had an employee that wasn't on the same page that you were? Or you weren't on the same page as your boss? You have to have a shared vision, and you have to be able to clearly articulate that shared vision. You have to have an intended purpose. In the back, you made a comment earlier about outcomes. If you can't define what it is, that why you exist, if you can't articulate what kind of purpose it is that you exist, it'll be tough to be competitive as the years go on. Clarity in roles. Is there clarity in the roles, not only in what your program offers, but how that relates to maybe other programs in the community or other players in the community? What role does the county attorney play with your program? What role does the judge play? What role does possibly parents play or jail administrators play? Is there clarity in the roles? Communication. This idea about communication, that I want to emphasize here is ensuring this open and frequent communication. Now that sounds simple. It does sound simple. But oftentimes we get so busy with the busy work that we fail to communicate our outcomes. We fail to communicate our value. And instead, what we do is we get tied up in the busy work, and those things that keep your program in the eye of those stakeholders gets lost. Membership. Are you engaged with people that are both pro and con of your program? I'll tell you another good example. Painful example. I was opening a reporting center in Sarpy County. And when we were opening this reporting center in Sarpy County, I made a critical mistake. We did not do our homework on the public value. And guess what? When it came time to open up a storefront in a neighborhood, they came out in droves against this reporting center. In droves, protesting against this reporting center, saying, we don't want these criminals in our neighborhoods. And I'm standing up there saying, they're already there. I'm just going to watch them a little closer. I had to have a painful experience, and trust me, a little experience that I won't replicate ever again, but a painful experience having to do with this whole idea about who I needed on my side. So even when people appear to be against you, or your program or what it is that you're doing, engage them. Engage them. It is critical that you engage them and you engage them early on. It will save you lots of pain and lots of heartache. If you know, remember that old saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer? You know, if there's somebody out there that's not crazy about your program, that's kind of, you know, if you got a commissioner who's wondering whether or not they should fund you, put them on your board. Get them to see your value. Respect and integrity. This whole idea about respecting that people have differences and that not every program is an end-all to be-all. This accountability, we've already said that on more than one occasion. How we have to be able to be accountable, and these days another key word is transparent about what it is that we're doing in our programs. You're going to hear me say this one over and over again as the morning goes on, this data-driven process. If we are employing programs that don't work, as painful as it is sometimes to have to admit that, we have to be able to change our programs. We have to be willing to change our programs. So we should be making decisions about our programs based on the data, based on your outcomes, based on either what's working or not working. This idea about build upon small wins. How many of you are familiar with problem-solving courts, drug courts? Pretty good number of you. One of the things that drug courts do fabulous is they celebrate their wins. They've got this part mastered. We don't do this all that good. You know? We had 5 drug-free babies this year. 5 out of how many? We had 5 drug-free babies this year. We had, you know, when they say and again, just use a comparison for myself. If somebody said to me, only 40% of your people successfully completed the program, I'd be going, dang, we gotta do better. Drug courts, they go, yay! 40% didn't go to prison. You know? It's a matter of perspective. It's one of the things that they do so well, is this whole idea about build upon small wins. Resources. Maximizing your resources. I don't think there's anybody in here that would say to me, oh man, we're over-resourced. Wow, we got way too much money and way too much people. We have to be able to examine how we're using our resources and be willing to change. I'm not a big fan of change. I like my furniture in the same place in the house. I don't switch it around a lot. But if I want to be successful in my business, and this is a business, we are a business. If we want to be successful in our business, we have to be able to maximize our resources. And last but not least, the environment. What kind of environment are you creating in your program? What kind of environment do people perceive about your program? One painful, again, another painful experience that I used to have is that our public defender's office, when I took over as a chief probation officer in Omaha, the public defender's office used to call our pre-sentence investigation our pre-incarceration investigations. That's what they used to call our investigation. I hated that. That was not an environment that I wanted. I mean, as a probation officer, we're supposed to be unbiased. So it was important that I change that environment to reflect what it is that we actually wanted to do and needed to do. So your takeaway here from collaboration is you need to understand the importance of collaboration. And most importantly, you need to know how to collaborate.